take the red pill, you stay in Wonderland. And I show you how deep the rabbit hole goes.
Welcome to Life in Rabbit.
One of the most fascinating things I think about as I journeyed into this mental health world is the amount of young people who want to get involved and to want to speak their truth and their story. And I'm very pleased to be joined today, all the way from the West Coast. Sanjana Karthik, thank you so much for joining me. I appreciate it.
Thanks so much for having me. Yeah.
It's cool for me to talk to, youth. You're under the age of 18 and, I think back, I'm not that old. I know I might look old. I'm kind of losing some of my hair now, but I'm only 28. But when I was 15, I was for sure would never have been comfortable getting in front of a mic and talking to somebody about things that were going on in my head. So for one, I think that's really courageous of you and very mature, because I know I was a dummy when I was that age. I would definitely not be, having the credentials or anything to come on and talk about it. So you're a mental health advocate, and I know you have some work and ideas that you wanted to share. But I wanted to start off, what got you involved with mental health, and why did you choose to become, I guess, an advocate at such a young age?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, great question. So basically, I started to become a mental health advocate because I had my own issues, I guess, with mental health. And I also noticed that a lot of people also were going through similar things. I felt like a lot of people, especially my age, are so reliant on what other people have to say to them or say about them, or really just about I guess pleasing other people or finding joy and happiness in external circumstances, especially trying to find joy in like materialistic objects or relationships. And it is good to have good relationships with people or to have things in your life that you look forward to having. But it's also important to be able to have that happiness and that positivity in yourself, to be able to generate that and to kind of rely more on that instead of getting persuaded by external circumstances. Like one moment you're happy because you're at a party and then you come back home and you're drained of energy, right? So it's important to be able to, I guess, sustain on your own energy and to find happiness from within. And I know that sounds cliche, but I feel like a lot of people, including myself, sometimes find it hard to do that.
Yeah, let me tell you, even someone, my age growing up, I even struggle with that in a lot of circumstances. And it's been very much a process to figure out how to be happy or at least experience some sort of, being comfortable being myself and being alone with my thoughts and all that. I find it so interesting, when I give speeches on my mental health story, it started when I was 12, but I really didn't start to notice it until I was into my 20s when I realized it was a problem. How did you recognize, or maybe it was someone in your life, recognize that, you were having mental health issues at such a young age?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so basically it was my parents that actually got me like the support that I needed to take care of my mental health. I did realize that a lot of my, I guess, issues was mostly just trying to like please other people, and that caused a lot of distress and I guess negativity in my life. And then I don't know, I used to just think about like, oh man, I wish there was like just this one thing that I could have forever that would keep me happy, because I don't know what I'm missing out. Am I not, doing fun enough things with friends, or am I missing out on something? And I realized that I don't need to actually look for things on the outside. It's more an inner thing. I think that goes for anyone really, even if you don't have a mental health issue. But I know my parents definitely noticed that I had a lot of anxiety and stress, especially in regards to school and trying to please teachers and getting the best grades possible. And I know that put a lot of stress onto myself, and my parents noticed that. And luckily, they got me the external support I needed through therapy. Yeah, and I'm really grateful for that.
What were, and feel free to go into as little or as much detail as you'd like on this, but what were some of the stresses that, that you were experiencing? What were, was it trouble sleeping? Was it irritability? Were you angry? Were you withdrawn? I wonder this because, maybe not only all the young people are listening to this to experience it themselves, but a lot of people, maybe with kids, or I know myself, I have adopted siblings who are young and now are growing up. We want to think about what we should notice and what's important to kids and youth and the things that's really bothering them. So what are some of the ways that the stress was manifesting for you with all this, trying to please everybody?
Yeah, so a lot of anxiety, a lot of sleepless nights, a lot of wondering what I was missing out on or what I could have done better. And I guess self-reflection is good, but it was to the point where it was like more like, okay, I'm the problem and I need to completely change the way I'm doing things. Yeah, so it was a lot of, I guess I would say, sleepless nights and getting overwhelmed. I wouldn't go out as much. I wouldn't socialize because I was so I guess eager to like learn and study all the time and trying to get the best grades. And I learned that's totally not the way. I can elaborate more on that, on how I finally figured it out. But yeah.
Well, go ahead. How did you finally kind of figure it out?
Well, for me, I think like going to therapy and kind of just being able to rationalize with someone else that what I was doing was harming myself, and by doing that also harming the people around me. So after learning that, I started to dedicate less of that energy towards doing super well in academics, and also just spreading that energy towards like positive things. Like I tried like hobbies and like volunteering, spending more time with family and friends. And the funny thing is I was still able to actually achieve my goals academically. I was still able to get, I would say, good marks. And I didn't have to put in that much stress into it. I just had to put in the time and effort, but the stress was unnecessary.
Yeah, I find it interesting that you found this at such a young age, because it took me into, when I was in university, that, I didn't have to worry so much about school, especially, I'm not good at math. I really suck at math. So when I talk about school, I was not good with numbers, but I could, bull crap my way through an essay without even reading the book, that type of thing. And I would, get A's and not have to stress as much as some people, that school kind of consumes their life while they're in it. And they got to study and get good grades and get extracurricular activities. And especially for someone your age, like, what are you going to do the rest of your life? Like, got to decide now, it's time, that type of thing. It's a lot of things going on in your head, and you're just trying to focus. And I think you touched on a huge point, that this journey that you're on and figuring it all out, there are so many people, and you can see it on Facebook, on Twitter, on Instagram, who are so lost, and they look for all this validation on social media. You're quite young, so you must just be kind of starting social media. Is it or maybe you've been on it for a long time, is it a big stress, social media? Because this is the thing you hear all the time with adults, that social media is the problem, and kids are, having such a hard time with all this self-acceptance and depression and anxiety, and it's all due to social media. Is that from your experience and from, your friends, people you go to school with, is that a very big concern?
I do believe social media does play a big factor in mental health, but I also feel like social media is a tool, and it's actually really dependent on the person that is using it, is what I feel. So I do feel like if people are only putting like their best selves on social media. But if you're not able to recognize that they're only posting their best selves, and they're not actually showing you the whole story, and if you're able to actually keep that in mind, then I don't think it will affect you as much. I know subconsciously it can still affect you, but I feel like if you're able to like rationalize and think about that, I think it becomes less detrimental or difficult on you. I do know that, like for me at least, I would often see people like doing really well in debate or like in certain extracurricular activities, and they would post their highlights on social media, and it was really difficult for me to look at that and not feel jealousy, and that's something I'm still working on actually. And also just wanting to pursue the same thing that they're doing because they found achievement and success in it. And I'm slowly learning to not think too much on finding success or achievement in the form of awards, but actually just doing the things I enjoy, and automatically I will get the results that I want because I'm putting passion and drive behind that.
You know, I kind of laugh as you were speaking, even though it's such great points you're making, but you know, people, you know, the things that you're talking about right now, and I just can't get over this fact. I'm reiterating myself, but it's like $1 billion industry. Do you know that there's self-help books, there's podcasts, there's people on Instagram being influencers, being motivating and trying to change people's lives, and life hacks and TED Talks and all this different stuff, that people are paying a lot of good money well into their adult years on things that you are working on right now, and having these realizations that you know, people my parents' age or your parents' age or my grandparents, they still haven't figured this mentality out yet, and being able to decipher, you know, the real world and social media, and keep the two kind of separate in a lot of ways, especially things like Instagram, where, you know, people are taking pictures of their butt, or, you know, in their bathing suits or with their washboard abs, right? It's a highlight reel. And
exactly,
you know, I make myself laugh because I had one of those, I can't remember what they're called, but the glasses and the nose and the funny eyebrows and the mustache. I'll go ahead and post a picture of that of myself. Funny. You mentioned you were volunteering. What sort of things are you volunteering in, and how has that really positively impacted you?
So I actually started, I think, volunteering for Special Olympics when I was in grade 6. And now I'm old. Well, not that old, but yeah, so I started volunteering for Special Olympics. And it was for something under Special Olympics. It was called Sports Start. So basically helping out people with intellectual disabilities is what we call them. And we actually call them athletes because they work towards, I guess, progressing athletically, and we're really just helping them out in terms of like sports like soccer, basketball, floor hockey. And honestly, at some points I didn't know what I was doing there because I don't know how to play any of those sports, but the great thing is that you're still able to offer that compassion and support to them, which is amazing. Otherwise people like me can't really do that. But yeah, I found that a really rewarding experience. And I also am currently still volunteering for them, and a senior home as well. Unfortunately, I can't volunteer there anymore because of the pandemic. But yeah, I used to have like sing-along activities with them. And yeah, I found it really enjoyable because for a long time, I think I wouldn't say I've been selfish, but I think that investing only time and energy towards myself was what I needed. And that is important, but it's also important to like give back, and being generous with other people. It's such a rewarding experience, not just for them, but for yourself, because you feel like you've done something, God, it sounds so cliche, but like bigger than yourself, or right, made someone's day a little bit better. So
I think giving back, volunteering, you know, raising money for charity, that has made such a positive impact on my mental health personally. And talking about mental health is something I've always done, and when I had the opportunity to actually get involved with it at a higher capacity, it really changed my life, and it feels so good that you know that you're helping people and the people you meet along the way. I remember I volunteered at an old folks home, and I made friends with this 9-year-old man named John, and ask him questions about life, and what was the war like, and what was the depression like, and all the things you learn about in history class, and then what are the experiences that you figured out on the way. It was such an enlightening and amazing experience. And
yeah, exactly, you can really connect with them, and they have so much to share because they've lived such a long life, and they have so many experiences, and yeah, I think it's really rewarding. Yeah, I remember like just connecting with like a few people, and they were just sharing like things they had in their childhood, and how, I guess in a way, how nice and simple it was, and how they found joy in things that now it would be kind of hard to find it in because we have technology and all these other resources. Yeah, I found it pretty enlightening.
Absolutely. In your note to me when you wrote, you were talking about working with the BC Youth Council. What is that? What is the Youth Council, and how did you get involved in that?
Yeah, so I think I joined BC Youth Council in March of this year, so not very long ago. It provides a platform for you to, I guess, contribute to the community through campaigns, and also connecting with like political leaders as well. Yeah, so I found it like a pretty nice experience. Right now, I'm hosting like my own mental health campaign through them. And I know that they have other initiatives such as student reps, environmental campaign, and some other things going on as well that I'm not very well versed in. But to get involved is just looking at their Instagram and just sending them a message, because I know that they're always looking for more people to get involved in their organization.
Right. So it's kind of like a thing, I guess, for young people. They can get involved in causes that they're really passionate about.
Exactly.
So like you said, like you're doing mental health, there's environment, maybe it's human rights, or
Exactly.
Black Lives Matter type campaigns, all that type of stuff. What's your mental health campaign? Tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah, so the mental health campaign actually started off with BC Youth Council, me joining BC Youth Council and then leading this initiative by connecting with like some other organizations as well. I think it was like Youth of BC, Reclamation Magazine, and some other organizations like that. We started sharing like some information about resources that people could look into, some ways that I use to generate my own happiness and take care of my mental health. And then now we've started to progress into every 2 weeks having like guest speakers come in to kind of share their insights. I don't know why I said come in. It's all on Zoom. Yeah. So yeah, it's all through Zoom. Once a week we have a guest speaker just share their insights for 30 or so minutes, and then answer any questions people have. And right now we're even working towards partnering with an app that I'm creating with my friend, a mental health app called My Esprit. And we're basically working towards sharing that app and some other mental health ideas that I use to take care of my mental health, and seeing if we can implement it in school curriculums. So we got the proposal.
Whoa. I'm going to stop here.
To something else.
You're a crew. Okay. What is the app called?
The app's called My Esprit. So I'll spell that. It's like MYESPRIT.
Okay. And I've never heard that word. What is that? What is that word?
It's actually in French. It means mind, body, and spirit. Okay. And we thought it actually really encompasses what we're trying to achieve through our app. Yeah.
Even though I live in Ottawa, my French is pretty much 0%. It's pretty bad. Okay, we're gonna pause, and I'm gonna get into this because this is This is
Whole
something.
new thing.
You and your friend are creating an app.
Yeah, it's actually soon to be published. Yeah, we just got like a little bit of support from someone in terms of like one of our saving components, and we're soon to publish it.
So who's doing like the coding and the background work?
My friend, Asta, she's amazing with technology, and she's been doing all of that. We did get hire someone just to do like a small part of the app, because we needed some extra support. But other than that, it's all her.
I don't even think I could comprehend making an app. You know, there's things like even working with Adobe Premiere right now, I'm like, it's complicated. You know, I'm starting to feel like an old folks with like new technology.
Yeah, same here.
What made you want to start an app? Because that seems like a huge project.
Yeah, so actually it all started off with Girl Technovation Challenge. I am not sponsored by them, by the way, but they're amazing. So basically it was a contest to create like an app that would solve a problem in your local community. And I was like a really passionate advocate for mental health, and I started off by myself, and then I got Asta in, and we both worked on the app, and that's where it all began.
How long have you been working on it?
I think it was since February. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and we're so close to publishing it. We're also trying to get our teams together. Yeah.
So
lots of things going on.
with this app, what's
Mhm.
you know, what are you hoping for it to do? So is it, mental health content, pictures? Is there resources? What are some of the things that you're trying to house in this app and for people to get from it?
Yeah, so the main purpose of my Esprit is to help people generate their own happiness and take time to prioritize their mental health. So we offer reminders and for people to practice like things that I also use to take care of my mental health. So that involves like gratitude journaling, so writing down what you're grateful for every day, writing down goals in regards to not just things regarding your work, but also like your family, your intellectual life, your emotional life, your relationships with friends, and as well your character, the type of person you are, and the type of person you want to be. Really focusing on that. Also having time to reflect on yourself, your day, trying to understand other people's perspectives. Really just taking the time to, I guess, go over the day. We also offer information about different mental health issues and resources for them as well. A personal profile that basically just is very small, but it's basically just saying things like what's like a song you can listen to when you're feeling down, or who's a friend you can contact. So those are most of our things that we have in our app.
Right. And is this something what's your vision for this? Is it something that, you want to make huge? Like, you want to go on Dragon's Den and like pitch it? Like, is it more of kind of like something you want to work on for now? And then, you'll go to school and kind of hope it just kind of carries on itself.
Oh, so I know that we definitely need some team members, but we are hoping to get it to schools. So we in
Right.
BC. So first we got to start there, but then we really hope that we can expand it in Canada and then hopefully even go to other countries. It's funny because my friend Asta and I were like going over like the reviews, I guess, from like our judges. Because it was for the Girl Technovation Challenge, and so like they were like different countries that review every app, and it's funny because Canada kind of gave us like a low score, but like Spain gave us like a super high score, and I think it like just bounced out or something. So we were just joking, like we gotta expand it to Spain. Yeah.
Well, it's interesting. I was talking to, his name's Liam, and he's Irish, but he's living in Amsterdam right now. And we were talking about mental health, and the difference between how, mental health is viewed in Ireland and the UK versus, Amsterdam versus Canada. And
Oh.
I think that's a good point that, we live in Canada, which for the most part, we live in a pretty progressive society, especially when it comes to mental health. We have Bell Let's Talk Day. We have, Mental Health Awareness Month, Mental Health Awareness Week, National Suicide Prevention Week. So we have a lot of different things and, awareness. I mean, just given the fact that, you're your age and you understand at least a lot of the basis of mental health, right? So that just shows how much the education and learning and something that we have in Canada. But, when you look at countries around the world, it's viewed so much differently. And in some places, it's not viewed at all. I know, I think you're familiar with the Lotus movement, which is how you found me. And I was talking with Meenakshi about, South Asian culture and mental health and how she's trying to change the perspective there. So, it's funny that you say that, and Spain's like, oh yeah, this app's great. And Canada's like, giving you, but it's almost like it's launching it in other countries first and getting it rolling there and then bringing it to Canada. Is that almost more of the option because there's such a need for it? I mean, even in America, there's such a need. Like America's lagging behind and they're right beside us.
For sure. Actually, you make such a good point. I'm gonna share this with my friend now.
Well, it's just, I just find it. I mean, I think getting into schools is such a good idea. I'm a huge believer in talking to people your age about mental health because it's around your age where mental health really started to affect my life.
Exactly.
I broke up. Well, one of my girlfriend at the time in high school, she broke up with me, and I locked myself in my room and listened to angry metal music and played World of Warcraft for a whole summer. And I always say that in my speech, and people get a little kick out of it. But what I thought was a breakup was actually, kind of more serious, and I didn't even recognize it. So that's why I always believe in so giving that tool to kids is, I think, so important.
Exactly. That's why we're even thinking of like trying to share it with like elementary school students as well, because I know when I say elementary schools, I don't mean like grade 2s. I mean like more like maybe like grade 6 or 7, because I feel like I think grade 6, 7 and like above is really when people, I guess, are more exposed to like mental health issues. And I feel like they're also most willing to like learn about these things, hopefully, and even like that's when they can learn the tools they need to bring with them throughout their years. And I don't know, I was just thinking, like, I feel like at school we're not really given the tools, or in life, I feel like a lot of us aren't given the tools that we need just for survival, because taking care of your mental health can actually be a reason for survival, for surviving difficult circumstances. We really need to be able to cope with stress. And I feel like we're not always taught that by our parents or by schools.
No, that's a very good point. And you can clearly see that anytime you open up social media on how people do not deal with stress very well. People are angry, they're lashing out, they're, getting into fights with people. Managing stress is extremely difficult. And I know, mental health wasn't spoken about even, and I've been out of high school for 10 years now. So even in that time, I've seen a huge progression because I didn't learn anything about stress, about mental health, about taking care of my brain and taking care of my body and the connection between the two. I mean, like I said, I've been out of school for a while now. Is that starting? Do you get a little bit of that education now, or do you find most of your resources through social media, through the internet, through podcasts or Instagram? Where's that information really kind of coming from?
I know for school, in my physical education class, we did try to have this Wellness Wednesday, and I honestly feel like it wasn't as consistent as it should have been, or I felt like it could have been more impactful. There could have been more resources or support provided. I know that at a school we do have like a mental health club, which is amazing. I know that they do a lot of activities to kind of support the school culture there. But I feel like there's always more room for progress. I got most of my information or insights, I guess, from like I watched like Robin Sharma and like videos from Mind Valley. I would recommend that. So I guess it's just they teach like new ways to have like a more positive mindset and how to take care of your mind and your body, but also I guess just having like a better and more fulfilling life in general.
Mm-hmm. So are you familiar with the term mindfulness and that kind of that buzzword term? Yeah, it's big for a lot of people and on maintaining and being proactive with their mental health. It's something I know I've been working on and really trying to implement in my life. What about your friends, people that you go to school with? Because I'm just always curious. You're a mental health advocate, so you're obviously seeking out this information. You're digesting it because you're interested and you're passionate about it. From your experience, or at least maybe conversations that you've had, or the word around the gossip around school, where are kids getting mental health information now in general? Like, is it really they rely on the Wellness Wednesday and the Mental Health Club and like that's kind of it, or is it there more of a broader conversation surrounding it nowadays? Sounds so old.
So basically for this for my Esprit, we did actually have like a roundtable conversation with some youth, and I did notice that a lot of people in regards to like coping with stress, they rely on things like maybe like reading a book or conversing maybe with like a friend or a family member. But I did notice that none of them mentioned anything about actually reaching out to external resources or gaining support in like therapy and things like that I do. So I found it like, I wouldn't say like disappointing, because I feel like everyone has their own coping mechanism, but I do believe that like people should feel more comfortable in reaching out. And I think it's because I think for me at least, I feel like it's because people don't know when it is that you should reach out. So for instance, like I didn't know that I could call Kids Help Phone for something as small as, oh, I'm having problems at home, or my friend and I are having an argument and I just need someone to hear me. I thought, oh, well, I can only reach out for support if I have depression, or if I have a mental health issue, or if I have suicidal thoughts. I thought that was the only way to get mental health support. And I just want to strongly encourage people to not only do that. You should get support when you have a mental health issue, but also just nipping it at the bud and like working on, I guess, developing mental health coping strategies and getting the support you need when issues start to arise.
I mean, you're speaking like a 50-year-old therapist right now, because that is like that's it, right? Like, and I think, even someone like myself, even people who I've met throughout, this mental health journey, I mean, therapy, yes. Exercise, yes. We talked about mindfulness, yes. But it's such a great point that you brought up, that you don't have to be in distress, in in crisis, or having like a severe struggle in order to reach out to somebody for help or for encouragement or advice, or just someone to talk to. I think that's so important, and recognizing that that you can do that is a huge first step that even someone like myself struggles. Like I always wait till the worst possible moment in my life, and then I'm like, I need help. And like there's part of that stubbornness, and part of that's just not recognizing when something's a problem.
Exactly.
That's a big thing for me. That is it a problem, or is it just something I'm going to have to live with?
Exactly.
To recognize.
And I feel like no matter how small it is, I feel like either voicing this out through like giving like a helpline a call, or even just, I find reflective journaling to be so powerful, because you can just really just let out any like, I guess, emotions you have out. You're able to relive the emotions, which is good because then you're getting it out of your system as well. And then really like having the time to not just, I guess, scream or like get it out, but also to just, I guess, look at the situation and rationalize and kind of understand like, okay, why did this happen? How could I have changed my approach to the situation? Because we can't change what other people do, right? So we need to change the way we think about the situation, or maybe or think about like how maybe you might have contributed to the situation as well. But also just, it's mostly about just the way you think about it now and your perspective on it and how you can change it.
Have you ever thought about running for prime minister?
All the time. No, kidding. No, I don't think I could be responsible for so many people.
It's just,
I would be honored though. But
well, the things you're talking about, it's mind blowing to me. It is.
Thank you.
It in relationships, in dating, in the workplace, in all these things, all these things you're talking about so clearly and calmly is something that literally struggles. Like, people struggle with this every single day at every single moment, and maybe not the one person, but like everything I've experienced in life and almost any conflict is almost because of somebody, being irrational or having something external going on in their life and them taking it to this situation and blowing it out of proportion, right? Like, almost everything can be calmly discussed and worked out. But because people don't think this way that you're describing it, that's why war is started, basically, is over this stuff, right? Like, the most powerful people in the world can't rationalize things like this.
Exactly. Yeah, I always thought like all these wars, I mean, obviously there are a lot of factors, but I feel like it's mostly just people, right? Like a country is just made of people and their mindsets and their ability to communicate or rationalize with one another.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I'm curious. So you don't want to be prime minister. So, now you're going to have to make the decisions of where you're going to go to school and what you're going to do with the rest of your life and how you're going to save the world. What are you hoping to do? Like, what's the plan?
That's a great question. That's the one question I feel I don't really have an answer to. For so long, I thought I wanted to do something maybe in business, but now I'm starting to take a step closer towards mental health and considering psychology as well. I just know that I, regardless of the career I choose, I know that I need to continue to, I guess, share my story at least, or help people out the best way that I know how. And I think that's by sharing my stories and my insight about mental health, and definitely contributing that through volunteering for mental health centers as well. Unfortunately, I can't do that because I need to be 19. But like, come on, let me get on that phone, please. But yeah, I definitely want to encompass like some sort of like support for other people. But as for career, still a little confused.
Mm-hmm. No, it's okay. And let me tell you, for pretty much all of high school, I wanted to be a journalist. I wanted to be a writer. And then literally the day where I had to go and pick my schools and what I wanted to do. So, I checked off the journalism things and then looked down and I was like, I needed a filler. I picked my things that I wanted. And I was like, oh, okay, I have 2 extra spots and you have to do all 5 of them. So I was like looking through and I was like, oh, cool. Radio. I didn't know radio was a thing. Like you could go to school for. And I was like, okay, I'll click that. And then sure enough, I got accepted and that's what I went and did. And now I work in radio. So
wow.
I always like to tell people that because I didn't decide it's not even something I even thought was possible until the day I applied to go to school. And
Yeah.
a year later, I'm in work, I'm at college doing radio. Just happens.
Exactly. It's funny how those things happen. One day you have like your whole life set and then something else changes. Yeah, I was actually considering something in like journalism because I am working on like this I guess my own radio show or something of sorts. Like it's more of a podcast right now, I guess. But yeah, it's called The Reality Is. And I don't know. I'm just very confused. I feel I have an interest in so many different things. Yeah, it's confusing, but I know I'll get through it.
So, I'll give you a little advice. So I'm kind of similar to you. I'm really interested in a lot of different things. Obviously mental health is my passion. But I love history. History is something I'm really fascinated about, and especially World War history. Like I geek out on that all the time. I think science and space and the universe and I think that's all really cool, and I don't really know much about it, and I suck at the math and I could never do it, but I just love hearing people talk about it because I'm like, whoa, and like my mind's exploding. I love meeting people and I love talking to people, and all these different avenues is exactly why I started this podcast, just as a hobby to explore my own interests. And so now I can just learn about them on my own time, and I do this whole thing. But now, I've had astrophysicists on. I've had, people who work in museums. I've had, lots of mental health people. But I think a podcast or YouTube channel is something that's especially when you get to talk to people and interview people. It's a great opportunity because you're making the content, you're doing the stuff that you like, and then you're also just keeping a general interest, so you can basically explore all the things that you want, and then just you can learn about it, and then if people want to listen along, then it's super cool too, and you're like, oh
yeah, so it's like a career all in, like all the careers like coming together, fusing into one.
Exactly. I like talking to people. I like learning, and a podcast for me was the perfect opportunity to do that. So is your podcast out? Have you started it?
Yeah, so it's called The Reality Is. We did have like 1-2 videos now out. Yeah, and I think it's on Facebook and YouTube. Check it out. No kidding. But yeah, we've my co-host Alicia and I started it, and it's really about like exploring like common misconceptions and then getting like an expert to come in and tell us that we're all wrong. So we love that.
So what were your first 2 episodes? What were the misconceptions that you wanted to?
So the first one actually was just an introduction, but then the second one was someone talking about positive psychology and really what you can do, I guess, in your day to make it better. And I guess it's about like reliving good experiences and about having gratitude and so many other things that he mentioned that I need to look back and like remember all of them. But yeah, and then for this week's show, I think we're planning on having someone talk about mental health for men and how I think that it's, I mean, obviously it's not fair for me to speak on it because I can't relate the same way guys can, but I know that in a lot of cultures, it's harder on men, I guess, for them to express that they're having mental health issues because it's a sign of weakness or not being manly enough or something of that sort. Again, I'm not an expert on that, so yeah, we're excited to have him.
So who are the people you had on?
I know that we had one person called Sukpal. I think he's studying psychology right now, and he also does his own research in regards to community psychology. I feel, man, I know he does something else too, and positive psychology. Yeah, so he really like shared some great insights with us. And the other person, well, I'm actually going to actually speak to him today, so I'll get to know him a bit better, and then maybe I can let you know who he is. Just report back to you.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
No, I think that's good. And you're reaching out to these people all on your own.
Mm-hmm.
It's good for you.
Yeah, so actually my co-host reached out to these two people, but I am working on getting some people because those people are more, I guess, in college. I'm trying to look for more high school students to come out as well and share their experiences. I am looking into having someone talk about stereotypes or stigma, I guess I would say, in the South Asian culture, and trying to have someone talk about spirituality versus religion, and also having someone closer to my age also talk about mental health issues for guys, and hopefully giving, I guess, more insight to the younger generation, I guess.
Right.
So, yeah.
Well, I mean, I don't know if you've ever reached out to Meenakshi, but she's really great from the Lotus movement. I did an interview with Dr. Rachel Linval and Aaron McLeod. They're actually out of BC too. They are in a group called the Mindful Project. So they do all this, work around mindfulness. And I know they work with youth and have resources. She's a doctor and has a doctorate in mindfulness. And Aaron McLeod played on the women's national soccer team as their goalie.
Oh, wow. So, quite the dynamic duo.
Yeah. So no, they're really cool. So definitely those two leads, definitely reach out to them.
Yes,
really
I will. I definitely will. Thank you. Yeah.
No problem. I'm fascinated. And the spirituality versus religion, like difference, that's really fascinating.
Yeah, I'm excited to hear what she has to say, because I know it's like a common, I guess, misconception that spirituality and religion are the same thing. And I feel like that's why people are, I guess, a bit reluctant to try it out. But I don't know. I'm not very familiar with the topic, but I'm excited to hear what she has to say.
Yeah, that's super deep. Do you mind if I ask their name? Because now I'm interested and I want to interview them.
Yeah, I can even like share with you like all the contacts or whoever we interview. I can like say there's a second opportunity for you.
You don't have to do everybody, but I'm gonna definitely follow along, because that to me that's a really interesting subject. I'm not a religious person, but I find the study around it very, very interesting. Not only Christianity, but like Buddhism and Hindu and Islam and all the different types of religions, Judaism. It's fascinating to learn about. And again, I come from and I reference this on the podcast all the time, I come from a really small town. There was like 5,000 people when I was growing up, and I didn't have an opportunity to explore or learn really any of this stuff in my hometown. My hometown is, a lot of people I went to school with still live there, and there's nothing wrong. Oh, wow. They work blue collar jobs, and that's fine. No judgment, but it wasn't exactly a worldly experience for me growing up. I didn't really have people from different cultures or different ethnicities or anything growing up. It was just a small white country town. Everyone drove pickup trucks and, like all the common cliches, hunting, fishing, all that stuff. Wow. So it's cool that you're getting to explore all that stuff, and now it's interesting me.
Yeah. It's good to.
Before you go, I was looking at the Instagram and your project. So it's called Your Words Matter. That's your thing.
Yeah. So that's actually my literature organization actually, and then my Esprit was the mental health app.
Doing so much different things.
Yeah. So yeah, the Your Words Matter to us is more focused on like writers, because I love writing poetry. as well. I told you I like so many things. I don't know what I want to do. So yeah, we offer like writing events, performing events, publishing events, and even like to interview people as well. And just really helping people develop their work and also receive recognition for it.
There's a lot of things. You're doing a lot of different stuff.
I try.
Well, it's good because, a lot of people, one, they don't chase their dreams. So there could be things that they've loved and they want to do, but they'll never do it or have never tried to do it. So it's good. You're doing all these things and you're trying them out and you're doing organizations, you're getting involved and meeting lots of people. And that's so important because by the time, when you figure out what you want to do with the rest of your life and how how the rest of your life goes, you'll be able to kind of narrow it down. And you're like, well, I've tried this, I've done that, but I really like this 1, 2, 3 things. And like just go full on and put all your work and energy in it. That's huge.
Yeah, exactly. I guess that was like my plan for like grade 10, like try as many things as possible, narrow things down in grade 11. So I have quite a bit of homework to do. Yeah.
Who inspires you? Who's your role models?
I would say for me, my dad and my stepmom, just because they let me, I guess, do the things that I enjoy, but I guess giving me the freedom to do things that I have passion towards, and then really develop that. And also, I guess they all they let me do the things I enjoy, but then they also like warn me of like consequences, or they play, I guess, devil's advocate in a way as well, just helping me like rationalize like for every situation there will be consequences, but they will support me through these things. And also just the immense care and love that I get at home from them. So yeah.
Well, they're obviously doing an amazing job. So shout out to your parents because
thank you.
That's huge, and that they're making you think of different, both sides of the issue. Like that's again, that's another huge thing that you can take with you the rest of your life. So
exactly.
I always get worried when people reach out to me on Instagram and they're like, I want to come on and talk about it. I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, we'll see how it goes. This blew my expectations out of the water.
I'm so glad. Thank you.
You have such a bright future. You're
Thank you.
Speaking more maturely and intellectually than like most people I know. So
wow, thank you so much.
Yeah, no problem. Keep up this amazing work because I'm going to be looking forward to following along. You have lots of things. I know we talked about a lot of different projects and things that you're working on. How can people, let's narrow it down to the mental health. Where can people find the information, whether it's about your app, whether it's about the youth council? How do they find that information from you?
Yeah, so for the mental health app, My Esprit, they can find it at My Esprit app on Instagram. So that's MYESPRIT app. So that's how you find My Esprit. And then for BC Youth Council, it's just BC Youth Council on Instagram. So those are just some ways to like reach out to these organizations. All
right. Well, promise me when you take over the world, you'll remember me.
Yeah. Yes.
I'll have a lot less hair, but with a ginger beard.
Yes, of course.
And give me a good job.
I'll give you a shout out and say you helped me be here. I owe it all to you.
no, that you owe it all to yourself, but I just want a good job when you take over the world.
Oh, for sure. Yes. I would love that.
100K. I work hard. I'm a hard worker, so
of course.
Obviously,
I'll see what I can do.
Again, thank you so much. This was a real pleasure, and keep up the amazing work.
Thank you so much. Thanks so much for having me. Yeah.
You take the red pill. You stay in Wonderland. And I show you how deep the rabbit hole goes.